by Sara Carter. She spent a lot of time there. In fact, she actually moved to Texas. She was on the border so much. And even further back, the Russian conspiracy, she broke that as well. I'd like to introduce you to her, and she's can take questions from you as well. Sara Carter.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you so much. Jerry's list, like he said, could go on and on and on and on, because I think we've seen the destruction of our nation, especially over the last 4 years. I don't think we could have even imagined how terrible this has become. I mean, I don't think anybody would have thought of that, 4 years ago, that it could be this bad, but it is. One of the things I was thinking about last night as I was watching the debate was, not, of course, all of the issues that were visibly wrong with our president. And I told people, I said to people, don't worry about it. You're worried about, CNN, or you're worried about how they're going to handle this debate publicly. I said, it is going to be obvious to the American people when they see it, because it's obvious to us even when they try to hide it, right? But I think there's a very important lesson here. We shouldn't underestimate the opponent. We shouldn't say, oh, last night's debate, we can rest now. We don't need to worry anymore. I think now more than ever, the American people, and especially our veterans, and I am the wife of an amazing U.S. Army veteran who was wounded in Afghanistan. Yes, thank you. He is amazing. Who was wounded in Afghanistan, lost his eyesight on the battlefield, almost lost his life, and then came back home and continued to serve his country for another decade before retiring. Yeah, he is the greatest example of all of us. But one thing you never do, and one thing my husband was very adamant about, is you never underestimate your opponent. You never underestimate the enemy. We don't know what's going to happen between now and November. But what we do know is what we can do individually. And that is members of Congress, those that are running for Congress, all of our veterans, and especially our veterans' families. That's why I was so happy to see you, very young, aspiring, future, maybe doctors, lawyers, politicians, who know, coming up here with your dad and showing your support. Because it is the wives and the children of our, and also the husbands of our veterans that can make the difference. We need to get out there. We need to not be afraid. We need to speak up and speak out. We need to defend our nation with all our heart. That Constitution and those Bill of Rights were endowed to us by God, and we cannot turn our back on it. And I was so grateful to see Saber Rock here, and he's going to be coming back. He was with Jerry. I know he's not here right now and he can't hear me, but I spent a lot of time in Afghanistan on the ground and in Iraq and covering the war. And Admiral, thank you so much for your leadership and your service to our nation as well, and that you continue to do that for our veterans. It's so admirable, and it's so heartwarming to know that there are people in this country that are fighting the fight no matter what. And that's what President Trump represents to me. He is somebody that has not given up this fight, no matter what they have done to him. They have come after him in the courts with weaponization of our judicial system. They have weaponized the intelligence apparatus against him. They've weaponized Washington against him, and he has not given up the fight. And I think every single one of us needs to take that as an example, and from now until November, do our best to do everything it takes to fight for this beautiful nation. She is worth it, and our children deserve it, and our families deserve it, and our veterans absolutely deserve it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you.